Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back, everyone. I've heard this term, but I have to be honest with you. I'm not really 100% sure what it means. I have an idea. I think I'm in the zone, but she's going to help define it and potentially define the secret to a wonderful life for all of us. Mindfulness. What does it mean? The effects of mindfulness. What can it do for you? How do you be mindful? She is somebody that has lots of programs under her practice called the Inner Self LLC, helping people heal, helping them use energy to their best advantage, move their lives forward. And she is our professional of the year. She's back with us. MaryElizabeth, we call her M.E. Welcome back. How are you?
I am, again, just fabulous, Steve. Thanks for having me again. It's always a pleasure.
Likewise, learn a lot from you. And this term mindfulness, I'm not even going to attempt to define it. I'm going right to you. How do you define it?
Well, let us just put it to you this way. It's being in the state of awareness of the moment that you are in. That is the easiest, most encapsulated way to define the idea of mindfulness. It's simply being in the awareness of the moment you are in and being present with what it is you are doing.
Would you say, okay, well, we've defined and even given examples previously of how important it is to live in the present.
Yes.
Don't worry about the past. Certainly don't worry about the future. Hasn't gotten here yet. You don't even know what's going to happen. So why even think about it? Living in the present is the secret to a lot of great things. Is mindfulness just that? Just being mindful of living in the now?
Yes, but it's also a space of focused intention. If we can use an example, it's the one that keeps popping into Emmy's head. Years ago, we had said to her, when you are eating, you need to be mindful. You need to have mindful eating practices. And she'd be like, what does that even mean? Because the majority of human beings nowadays, what they do is when they are having a meal, they are sitting and watching TV. Mm-hmm. They are listening to a podcast. They are eating again on autopilot energy. So the majority of humans, you see, will chew their food between 3 to 10 bites. And 10 is us being generous, you see. So they take a bite, they chew, swallow, and they go through, they eat quickly. And as they eat quickly, they eat more because they haven't given their body the time to catch up to the moment of savoring the meal. If you are having a meal alone, we highly recommend you pamper yourself. Put it on your best china. Use your best silverware. Sit in a space that gives you a view of divine grace. And then enjoy the meal. Enjoy each bite. Count to at least 10. But be present in what you are doing. Savor the taste. What mindful eating will do for you, believe it or not, because it slows you down in the process, it gives you a space where your body understands you're full, that previously it was not triggered, you see, and you will eat less food. So the benefit for ME when she is eating mindfully is surprise. She's lost some weight. And for some reason, that's always a thing. So she's a happy girl. But it applies to all things. Whatever you are doing, be in the moment and aware of how it feels. What are you getting from it? If you're doing something because you feel you have to, but you are not enjoying the moment, stop doing it. You understand what we're trying to imply?
Absolutely. Basically, savor the flavor
Perfect.
Focus on it. And I'm guilty multitasking, eating, working. But I can say this. It was let me double check that. 4 years ago. It's right here. I had never eaten a meal alone in public. I'm always going with somebody, always with somebody. 4 years ago, I said, well, it's like 8 o'clock at night. Got to get something to eat. So I went up to the Applebee's up the street. It was a little awkward. I've never, again, eaten in a restaurant alone. Just went up to the bar area. There's other people having their meals alone. Sometimes somebody with somebody. I was mindful of that meal. And I have to tell you, Emmy, that was one of the best meals I ever had. And it was just a basic pasta dish with chicken and a beer. I still remember every moment, the flavor. Just a sip of the beer. Oh, this is really good. I was mindful.
Yeah.
I still remember it. So yes, being mindful, just being in the moment, enjoying the moment, everything that's around you, absorbing everything, being plugged in. You walk outside, look at a tree, look at a leaf. Why not? You're outside as opposed to just, I was listening to a song by Dave Matthews Band. I don't know why it stuck in my head. I've played it so far today. Maybe there's a reason. I'm sure there is. Ants Marching. It was basically one of his first hits, mid-90s. And the song is basically about people just being robotic, going through their day, like ants marching. And there's a line in there, take these chances, put them in a box until acquired at time. Lights up, and basically you die after that. So nobody takes any chances. We're just robots. I've heard that today so far. Middle of the day. I must have played that song. I'm not exaggerating 10 times and actually looked at the lyrics and sang along to it. Because I think it says what we're saying here. Be mindful of life as opposed to just being an ant marching, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's be in the focus of the moment. Be in the focus of the moment. When you are walking down a crowded street, how many times are you just thinking about where you have to be, what you have to do next? And there are hundreds of people passing you by. You're in the city. There's hundreds of people passing you by. How many times do you literally walk through and make eye contact with the person coming towards you? How many times do you share a smile? The majority of you are just looking at your path ahead and boom, 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 boom.
Yep.
Well, when you make that connection, you shift not only your energy, but the energy of the person in front of you. You are sharing the moment, even if it is only briefly. When you speak of being and eating a meal alone in a restaurant, we will say that's a hard push for many Americans, specifically for many Americans. So when you come together and eat a meal, we're going to ask that you be aware of this too. So many times, you're all waiting for how you can interject in the conversation that you're not appreciating what is in front of you. So you're not even really hearing what the person is saying next to you. Does that make sense?
It really does. It's funny you talk about, walking in a city, ants marching, that song, there's a line.
Exactly.
And now when you go to a concert, people sing this line. It's kind of a people in every direction, no words exchange, no time to exchange them. Why?
Why?
Tell me about the energy exchange. When let's say you're walking down the street, and a lot of us, don't want to have eye contact with anybody, it's awkward. Sometimes we might think that people think we're creepy, whatever it might be, sad as it is. When you connect with somebody, just eye contact or hold the door. Smile, or the flow of traffic. Somebody lets you out. Thank you. I always say, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And you go on your way. What's going on energetically there, that exchange?
It's an acknowledgement of another's energy. It's an acknowledgement of another's presence. When you acknowledge another, you give them a gift. You give them permission to shine a little brighter. You give them permission to understand that it's okay to be seen. You give them permission through the smile you give, through the holding of the door, for allowing another into the flow of traffic. You give them the permission to do the same exact thing.
There's a lot more going on here than we realize.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all about connection. Mindfulness is about connection, whether it's connection to self, whether it's connection to what it is that you are doing. It's an energetic exchange. It's a focused, energetic exchange. And Amy will say, if she's walking down the street, if she is not mindful of what she is doing, the odds are she's going to take a tumble or two because she's not paying attention. Mindfulness is just paying attention. The universe is always bringing through messages to you. You've been hearing this song in your head, and yet look at the conversation that we have chosen to speak about today.
I haven't heard that song in years. I don't know what to go. I popped in my head, and then I got addicted to it. Legit addicted to it. Had to keep playing it, and I'm singing it. Like, I can't sing, but I just find there's something today about that song, and this may be it. Maybe there's a message. Maybe there's a reason. I'm sure there is. I'm not going to say maybe. I'm sure there is.
There is always a message coming through. In everything that comes in front of you, there is always a message, whether it's to redirect, whether it's to be in a quiet moment of solitude, because sometimes that's really what you need to choose. You need to choose that space when you are with a group of people at a setting where you're all speaking above each other. Sometimes you need to just be the observer in the room. You need to sit back and see, because what you will hear is not just where you're hearing the loudest voice. You will see the expression on another where pain is coming through that you may not have otherwise noticed. In the space, give your attention to the person in front of you. And when you are alone, you beautifully brought the experience of that meal through. You were giving your full intention to taking care of you.
Yeah.
And you were paying attention to what your body was enjoying, to what your body was celebrating in that moment. And when you are mindful, you can also see the things that you do that may not be conducive to a healthy and happy lifestyle for you. When it comes to food, sometimes you eat what you eat just because you're told you should. And then when you're done, you're like, I feel so full, or just, I'm so tired. You had no clue in the very beginning of what you were eating. If you were paying attention, your body had already started talking to you. This isn't good for you. Our Emmy is allergic to broccoli. Her whole life, her mother tried to make her eat broccoli. Because but she knew immediately at a young age, this isn't right for me. And now it'll kill her. So
wow.
If you're ever around Emmy, you can't eat broccoli.
That's a first. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, it's part of her experiencing and the adaptation of the energy.
Well, to your point, we, especially Americans, eat way more than we should. And if we were practicing mindfulness while we were eating, we probably would eat half. Like, how many times if you go in a restaurant, there's a lot there, and like, I'll have the other half of the sandwich. You don't really need to. You got enough. You're good. But you're not mindful. You're talking to somebody, doing whatever. It's like, let me just finish. I don't feel like carrying it. No, be mindful. How do we what are some of the other ways to practice this, especially in our busy lives? How can we just tap the brakes and come back to the moment?
Take a second when you realize that you are running full steam. Just take a second to stop and breathe. And in that breath, focus your energy. Okay, what am I doing? What do I need to do? Because again, what you tend to do as human beings is have that to-do list. And as you're doing one thing, you're already doing the other in your mind. Does that make sense to you? Like,
Yeah.
once I get this done, I have to move on to this, and then I have to do this, and then I have to do that. Instead of enjoying the moment of what it is you are doing. We're not saying do not create a list, though we do pick on Emmy's friend because she's a list person. But what we will say here, the lists are a good thing. It gives you a space of what you need to focus on. But if you are not focusing on what you are doing and thinking about what's on the list and what more has to be done, you are not present in the moment. You are not learning the lessons the task is bringing to you. Emmy has been struggling for the last week on what it is she needed to get done and needed to get done and needed to get done. And every time she sat down to do it, she'd start and it was a struggle to come through. And then finally she said, okay, I'm not going to pressure myself. I'm just going to sit and see what comes and unfolds in front of me. And because she had an idea of what direction it should take, and she couldn't make that direction come through with ease. Instead, she stopped and she said, okay, what's the first question I need to answer here for myself? And then she let the answer come through. And what we mean, again, that intuitive voice from the universe will always give you that space of focus you need to maximize the energy of the moment.
I betcha. And this is not just you, Emmy, all of us. You had things on your list and you didn't do them, for whatever the reason is. But I'll bet there is a reason, and there was something holding you back from doing them. Maybe it's a limiting belief. Maybe in the back of your mind, I'm hypothetical here. Maybe in the back of your mind, it's saying, well, it's not going to come out the way I really want it to. So I'll put that off a little bit longer. I'll put that off a little bit longer. Why am I saying this? I got a list right here. And the two top things on this list, I've put off. I don't know how to explain it. It's a big thing. It took me an hour, but the impact of it could be very big. And I'll just leave it at that. You know, it's, I wanted it just right. So I put it off. You know what? Why did I put it off? It was actually fun working on it, and now pretty much done as of this morning. But there was that probably the limiting belief that it's not going to come out the way you want it to. You got to make sure it's right. You know, it's really important. Just do it. Just do it. Well, that makes sense.
Can we throw in a caveat here?
Sure.
The fact that you did it and it came through with ease means this morning was the time it was meant to be.
I'll go with that.
The stopping yourself was the intuitive voice within, not letting you proceed because you were not fully in the energy to be successful in your execution, you see. In part, what you did say, your limiting beliefs played a part in slowing your progression, but there is always perfect time. Emmy gets very frustrated with herself when she literally can sit down to begin to write and she can't make anything come through. And it's frustrating as can be.
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly it's as if we've smacked her in the back of the head, and trust us, we do many times do that. There will be, I need to sit down and do this. And it will just flow through. She created a program that she's been thinking about for a year. And every time she sat down to do it, it wouldn't come through. And then one day she was like, I have to do this. It was a urgency. I have to do this. Sorry, John.
Oh, quite all right. I wish mine was here.
Yeah. The urgency of get this done. It took her 8 hours to create, but it was 8 hours. And it was all fluid and came through with ease. And there was no hiccup. There was no bump. There was no hesitancy. It just flowed through the energy. And being in the awareness that now is the time I need to start. When you have that inkling, when you have that now is the time instead of I should do this. Do you see the difference in the energy?
How do you know that it's not the right time versus I'm putting this off because I'm afraid it's not going to come out right? I'm perfectionist. I don't believe in it. I don't want to do it now versus it's not the right time or it is the right time. How do you find the difference between those two?
How do you find the balance? The balance between those are two different things. You just said one of the things you said was, I don't believe in it.
Well, that was an afterthought because that was something I did yesterday that I'm, shall we say, tasked with. I don't believe in it, but I have to do it, and begrudgingly I do it, but I don't believe in it.
Right. Okay. Then we're going to go back to the first half. Okay. That's self-doubt. Self-doubt comes through. And that is, again, we're just going to say that's the voice in your head. That's the voices of others. Self-doubt is not self-doubt. Self-doubt is a taught reaction. It's somebody else's doubt in themselves that they have taught you to emulate, to pattern.
Really?
So when you are in that space of self-doubt, it's really not your truth. It's just, again, Fred coming through. So then you have to say, wait a minute, what am I doubting? Emmy had this thing about failing. She's going to fail, she's going to fail, she's going to fail. It's been a lifelong thing. And then one day she thought about it as she was writing her first book, and it was simply, so in reality, what have I failed at? Anything I've tried, I've excelled at.
Yeah.
So the idea of failure, again, not her own, it was taught. What is failure? Failure is not a thing. We do not see that anybody fails at anything. That is a human judgment. Everything you are speaking of is judgment. So that's what you need to do. You need to ask yourself, why am I judging myself in this moment? Why am I allowing judgment to lead? A lot of times you may sit down because you know you have to do it. No matter what you do, you cannot proceed. That literally is the intuitive part of you that is saying it's not time. Don't try to push it through. If you have a deadline, guess what? You'll be inspired to get it done exactly the moment you're meant to, before that deadline. We're not going to stop you. It's going to get you fired unless you're meant to have left that job you were in and didn't pay attention to the signs along the way. But all the doubts you have of self, all the fears you have of self are not yours. They have been taught to you. That is a patterned response that is coming through. So again, fear, reaction, energy denied. Shut the F up, Fred.
I love Fred, but I hate Fred. If you to close here, because we're just about out of time. If you're in a situation, you mentioned a job, and you didn't see the signs that it's time to leave the job, you probably weren't practicing mindfulness, right?
Exactly. You weren't in the moment. You weren't paying attention to how you feel. The 90% of human beings who lose a job, who are pushed out of a job, except what you are currently seeing here in this country. But the majority of those who have been in a job that they suddenly lose, they've had an inkling of being unhappy in that job.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't pay attention to it. Well, it's a paycheck. It's a paycheck. And instead of trying to change the energy, like saying, gratefully, this job is just temporary, and allowing themselves to see something new can come through, they push themselves and push themselves and push themselves. And then suddenly the rug is pulled out from them. But for months, they'd been saying how unhappy they were. That was their first clue. If you're unhappy, start looking.
Same thing in a relationship.
Exactly.
And I can speak from experience there. Long-term one, a while back, that ended, kind of surprise ending. And a friend of mine who's very intuitive, said to me, "You knew." I'm like, "No, I didn't know." He's like, "You knew." And I sat with that. Yeah, you're right. He was right. I knew. I wasn't practicing mindfulness at all. Great conversation today, Emmy. How do we find you? I know you have a lot of different programs to support this and so much more in terms of growth and empowerment. How do we connect with you?
You can connect with me through my website, which is www.IamMaryElizabeth.me, or via text at 661-524-4544. I'm available for speaking engagements to help mentor your groups. So please feel free to reach out. Looking forward to helping you.
Wonderful. Thank you for the reminder on the available for speaking engagements. I appreciate it. Thank you for today. Really good stuff.
I enjoyed it. Thank you. We'll talk again next week.
You got it. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her?
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge?
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend?
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.